the run game. And today we have two special guests today, Ruben from 713 Sports and Harley. How's it going, guys?
Going good,
Doing
going
well, doing
good.
well.
Thank you.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we're just going to get right into it because we have some really good Texas news. Some people thought that free agency was completely over, and it's not. We signed in defensive lineman Mario Edwards to a 1-year deal. He's 6'3", 280 pounds, so we are definitely seeing that D'Amico is adding those larger players that we have, not necessarily just a 260-pound dude. So definitely continuing that trend. Now, in my opinion, he's a better pass rusher than a run defender. Yeah, last year he had 22 total pressures, 2 sacks, 15 hurries, 5 hits, 1 forced fumble, and 5 tackles for loss. Now, the D line has been pretty active this season. And in fact, it's obviously been the one position group that we've added the most. Obviously, we added Daniel Hunter, who the Athletic called the #1 free agent in all of the NFL, and we got him. So that should tell you something there. We did lose Grenard. We did lose Collins and Rankins, but we also got Danico Autry. And then we supplemented that by re-signing Khalil Davis, Tim Settle, and I just said Edwards. So, Ruben, I'm going to ask you this first. What do you think of this signing, and what do you think overall of the defensive line?
Yeah, he's kind of the same size as Derek Barnett. And I love what D'Amico Ryans is building right now with the defensive line. It's, big guys who could come in and put in valuable snaps whenever Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter, they take some times off. I think he, is a pretty good run defender as well. Like you mentioned, VT, a pretty good pass rusher. I love this, and he is a veteran. He's been around the league. He's been around the block. He should understand what D'Amico Ryans needs. And, hopefully we could see some type of production out of him. Whenever someone comes to the Houston Texans, man, I just think they're going to play some of their best football whenever your head coach is D'Amico Ryans.
Can't agree more. Harley, what do you think?
Basically the same thing. We're going to share the same thoughts here. D'Amico Ryans mentioned after the Ravens game how they want to beef up the defensive line. It was something they needed to change. He implied it many, many times, explicitly and implicitly. So you can see their strategy in free agency. Boom. Okay. Defensive line. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to change. Only thing I wonder is the interior defensive line. I understand we got a good crop of depth. I like the depth there, and I like all the moves they've done. It makes me wonder what the plan is. I understand, Danico's kind of that tweener, more of an edge than he is inside. Mario Edwards is a little bit of a tweener as well. I like all these moves, but I do wonder at times, are the Houston Texans, and of course we haven't entered draft talk or anything yet, but who knows? Maybe they target someone in the interior that we're not thinking right now, but makes me wonder, are they? It's tough to say this, and I don't want to sound crazy, but are they going to get bullied on the inside, specifically in the interior? I don't think they are, but they got so much crop, so much rotational pieces that I really like. I'm
more to be desired.
Cautiously, thinking about the interior, but not my biggest worry.
Well, Leo, what do you think? Do you think we're going to get bullied? What do you think about this signing?
No, of course not, man. I mean, we're bigger than we were before. This is a whole bunch of cringe-worthy pause stuff, so pause. But yeah, we're bigger than we were before. This is not our final form, Sorry, y'all. I just woke up, so y'all are gonna get a bunch of weird jokes. But yeah, man, no, we're definitely bigger than we were. I think Foley is bigger than Malik Collins.
True,
Tim Settle is probably bigger than Rankins was. I think he's 6'3", like around 300 pounds. And then, we're bigger on the edges. I think Will Anderson is like our smallest like edge right now in terms of that will probably be playing edge on like on rundowns. So, because I don't expect Majai Sanders to, be playing on rundowns, man. So, bro, I think we'll be better against the run, honestly. But that is like you bring up a good point though, for sure, because I think it's kind of giving us like a avenue to add in another high end talent. You know what I'm saying, on the D line. I think we just put out a video about Sweat, and we got another one about Fisk coming out. So there is room for like another one, and I think it kind of gives us a avenue to like really kind of see exactly how he's gonna line the defense up, in and at the end. You know what I'm saying? Does he want to go with like a more traditional odd front type of nose guy, or does he want to go get another penetrating like 3 tech? So, but I don't think we're just way more big than we were last year, man, and we're more athletic, I think, and so I don't think we'll get pushed around. Like there will be some teams like the Colts and shit that like, they come, but I mean the Colts offensive line is really unique, so it is what it is.
Well, we have some more news today. We released defensive back Kadar Holman, and this is, I wouldn't say it's surprising because he was not great. I mean, he's got 6 solo tackles on the season. He's got on PFF, he has a 56 PFF grade in coverage. He had one great play throughout the entire season, and that was a fumble recovery. But the thing that kind of stresses me out is our quarterback from our entire secondary outside of Stingley is questionable. I love Petrie. His jersey has been up there, and I'm probably going to have to replace Gennard, although I'll wear my Gennard jersey proudly. But, I'm probably going to replace that next week. And, it's not that Petrie's a bad football player, but I think they're using him incorrectly. They're using him as they need him, not as they should use him, in my opinion. But nonetheless, he hasn't been great. And Jimmy Ward hasn't been healthy. Steven Nelson hasn't been signed. I could see Steven Nelson coming back on a cheap deal, like maybe a $5 million deal, because no one else is signing him. Probably because you made fun of your GM on social media. Probably not a great thing to do. Nonetheless, the entire secondary concerns me. So my question to you, Ruben, I'm going to start off with you again, is not just about Kadar Holman, but what do you think is going on with the secondary, and does it bug you at all?
It is definitely concerning. I went in saying that Jalen Petrie needs competition. I went in saying that you need to cut Jimmy Ward. I expected a whole new secondary, and right now it looks like Jeff Okudah is the number 2 cornerback. I do like though how Xavier Howard was on the OG podcast. A clip came out today saying how he wants to be a Houston Texan. I wouldn't mind if they brought him in whatsoever. There should be competition at the number 2 cornerback spot. And even with Derek Stingley, can you really rely on him to play a full season? Right now, the answer is no. So you are very thin at the cornerback spot if you have an injury and Jeff Okudah has to step up and be your number 1 guy. Maybe they bring in someone in free agency. Maybe they address it in the draft. They have 2 second-round picks, but secondary needs to be addressed. And then, with Holman, thank you for what you did for me. I could find another Holman in the offseason. I could find another Holman next week.
All right. Harley, what do you think?
Yeah, this was something I think I mentioned in the group chat, in our Believe in Texans group chat. That the secondary is a little bit more of a worry for me than the defensive line. What they've done defensively, cool. The D-line, awesome. The secondary, look, I mean, Ruben says it, right? Derek Stingley, it's never about his ability. It's about his durability. Jeff Okudah also has some injury concerns as well. I like the move for Jeff Okudah. I like the potential he brings. He's still a young corner. There's a lot left on there for him in his career, especially with the Texans, even though it's a 1-year deal. Could go further. Who knows? But, I mean, there's a legit conversation that both guys could be out when you go playing a game, and what else do you have after that? The slot corner position. I mean, Desmond King's all right, but I mean, we could also improve in the nickel corner position. I know we can't improve every single position this offseason. I understand that. But running it back with this secondary, I understand that, yeah, the defensive line's improved. The pass rush is vastly improved. And that's going to help the secondary. It is just because of the pass rush getting to the quarterback maybe a lot sooner, maybe a lot quicker. Who knows? But, man, there's a lot left to be desired with the secondary.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, Leo, I know you have a unique perspective on this. So in addition to talking about Kadar Holman and the secondary, you think you're going to handle this question here? It's like Wes Sharp is asking, they're going to get a safety, right? Like, are we going to add to the safety room here?
I mean, the real answer is, I mean, probably so. I mean, but we don't really know. I think that when you start talking about guys like Kadar Holman that were at the bottom of the roster, I think it's like literally like no importance, no, I mean, it's kind of, you would like those guys to kind of have a little bit of versatility when it comes to like playing inside, outside, and possibly safety. You know what I mean? So that's why I think we talked earlier, man. Probably that might have been part of the reason why he was cut is because he doesn't really have that much versatility in terms of even like special teams. You never know. So I think that this move kind of signifies more like that we are going to invest heavily in the defensive back room at some point. Remember, like the first offseason and probably even the second offseason that Caserio was here. Like we made moves after the draft. We shored up the defensive line in the year that we drafted Derek Stingley, like after the draft. So I don't think there's necessarily a rush to fix the secondary right now. I think that it's just like you got to be patient. You know what I'm saying? We got to be patient and understand that they do see, that there are holes there. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think the way I kind of look at it, or the way that I feel like a lot of people in D'Amico's, they have come from like D'Amico's, like you could always look at like the Jets, the Jets drafted Sauce High. You know what I'm saying? I kind of even reference Pete Carroll a lot when I talk about D'Amico, because of like, how Robert Saleh started, recently they drafted, Devin Weatherspoon high. But when you look at those defenses, man, a lot, and even Jacksonville, because they ran kind of like a similar Seattle type defense when they drafted Ramsey. A lot of those teams did not spend high picks on corners or just secondary in general. I think that like each team probably spent one first round pick, and then after that, they kind of just had a lot of guys that fit in. I think that for us, man, if we're gonna continue to invest like this heavily on the D line, they might feel like, what I'm saying, like they're okay with drafting second, third, fourth round DBs as long as they can fit. And I feel like it will work. I think like, let's to be real, they interviewed, what top corner did they not interview at the combine? You know what I'm saying? They interviewed them, they looked at all their workouts, and they traded out of the first round. So they have to have like an understanding that like maybe they don't really view some of those guys as like much different as the second rounders, you know what I mean? And maybe like, obviously there still is a potential that we trade back into the first, but we have a lot of flexibility there. And I think that the more and more we add to the pass rush and just the front seven in general, they will start, they kind of probably feel like they have flexibility to like, as long as we have a guy that, is a scheme fit, what I'm saying, in the secondary, I think that might be how they look at it. I mean, because that's how a lot of teams looked at it, especially when they have so many assets like spent into like getting after the quarterback. You know what I mean? So that's just how maybe they're looking at it. I do think for sure, I think they're going to take a DB in the second round. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, I guess that kind of would justify why they traded out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are, hopefully. My dream was for them to get Snead, but we'll talk about that in a moment, why I no longer think it's even a possibility. But before we get to that, I want to get your takeaways on the Nick Caserio interview. I think this was a moment where, I was telling Ruben this, in pre-production, basically, that it doesn't seem like the same old Nick Caserio when he gets on the radio and he gives the company spiel, and you can kind of predict what he's going to say for every question. The dude there really loves Danico Autry. Of course, he likes Hunter, but he called Autry a badass. He called him a junkyard dog, and he called him a bad MFer. Basically said you don't want to see him in a dark alley. I mean, this dude loves Danico Autry. I mean, I think that was probably his favorite addition. I know, Leo, that was yours. He also talked about Nixon's past and said that was considered when they added him and gave him a 3-year extension. Talked about that a little more, because I don't think he really talked about anything personal with players and basically kept it separate. I think that's one of the first times, outside of saying, for example, Mechie with cancer that he's dealing with and how good he's doing. I don't think he's ever talked about another player's personal issues off the field like this. He said that Mixon is now a captain and a community leader, and kind of made the case for people that have been questioning, like, why did the McNairs add them? He even mentions particular players like Laporta, Musgrave, Branch, Reed, saying that, he's looking at the group of players. He doesn't look at just one player. He looks at a group of players, both in free agency and in the draft. So this was an interview that I thought that was quite interesting. We actually got to see a little bit more about what makes Caserio tick. Ruben, tell me, what were your takeaways, and did you have any moments that stuck out to you?
I mean, it kind of sounds like, Nick Caserio is in his element. When you go back and see what he did at the New England Patriots, right, he was building around a superstar quarterback. And lo and behold, he's doing that here in Houston, which is built around a superstar quarterback. So I think he now is just going to add pieces. And I've said this before, we have the foundation guys. CJ Stroud is a foundation guy, as well as Tank Dell, Derek Stingley, Will Anderson Jr. Right now, you're just adding the pieces. You're adding the extra chinks on the armor, the Joe Mixons, the Danielle Hunters, and this was exactly what we wanted Nick Caserio to do. The notion that the Texans are silent in free agency, won't do nothing, that should be dead after what Nick did in the first couple of days. Even though, day 2 should have been day 1, day 1 should have been day 2. I think it was a great job by Nick. And based off the interview, man, talking highly about Danico Autry, calling him a bad, mother effer. We don't hear that from him. He sounds very comfortable, man. Sounds like someone who knows what he's doing right now.
Harley, let me know what you think.
Bad MFer, last year's bitch and moan. I mean, is there an alternative ego to Nick Caserio that we don't know of? I'd like to see it more. I would. Maybe he's lying about the barbecue. Maybe this man's eating barbecue and he's not telling us. Who knows? But I mean, it was pretty cool. It was pretty interesting, actually. Obviously, Nick Caserio, when he speaks, it's like, okay, open your third eye, because like a lot of times if you just listen to it, you're not going to get a lot. But if you actually like, okay, let me get serious here and let me see what the hell this man is talking about. I mean, bad MF for Danico Autry was funny. He mentioned the Malik Collins trade, that you got to be comfortable with whatever result it was. I wish it could have gone differently. Really do. It is what it is. He talked about the free agents. This is just seems like a lot of confidence with Nick Caserio, it feels like, and the Houston Texans are that trendy Super Bowl pick right now across all of national media. Look, I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they definitely have improved this team, and they definitely are in striking distance with the top 4 teams of the AFC. I mean, the Houston Texans they did their thing this free agency, and now it's about the draft and how can you kick that ass now too with the NFL draft, and how you can go into 2 off seasons being the ultimate winners. And that would be, I mean, from where the Texans were 2 years ago, it's a complete 360. I would have never guessed the rebuild had gotten this fast. And it's just refreshing that we're having a conversation right now about the Houston Texans, potentially within striking distance of the AFC Championship game, maybe an AFC Championship, Super Bowl, Lombardi. This is awesome.
I like that. I like that. Leo, what do you think about the interview? What's your special takeaway from it?
Oh, I mean, shit that, they want to be physical as hell, and I think that like the way that we lost in the playoffs and the Colts game of the last game of the season really pissed them the fuck off. I think that it genuinely pissed them the fuck off when they saw Jonathan Taylor running the ball every goddamn play at the end of the game. You know what I mean? Bro, they literally almost ran the ball into the end zone and like choked the clock on us to end the game. And then to see D'Amico, I think it also genuinely made them mad when we gave up like 200 yards on the ground in the playoff game. That game wasn't really indicative of like how we played that season. You know what I mean? And a lot of it can't just be, tied to depth. You know what I mean? Because, bro, let's face it. I mean, I don't think we've ever really acknowledged this, talked about it that much, but we had like at least two. Well, shit. I mean, I don't know how many snaps Tart played that game, but we definitely had 2 waiver wire edges playing heavy snaps in the second round of the playoffs. That's crazy. You know what I mean? So I think that we definitely. I think that they were just they would never say that, but I think they were genuinely just didn't like that shit. You know what I mean? And I think we're like, it's another thing, man. Like after, I mean, I know we had a space, and I kind of said it on the space, bro. Like, to anyone that thinks like Nick Caserio isn't like a deeply competitive person, you know what I'm saying? I think that you kind of got to just check yourself into a mental institution, because I think he's one of the most competitive people in the world, probably. There's nothing more that he wants to do than to win a championship away from New England. And I think when you hear him, talking like how, how he was talking in that interview, man, I mean, that just kind of backs it up. I think that he's making these moves to build a winner and to eventually, win a championship here sooner than later, man. So, I think that, man, like if there's ever a reason to, that's pretty much all I got to say. I could talk forever about that shit, but yeah, that's basically it.
I mean, I think every once in a while you get little flavors of the real Nick Caserio, the Caserio that probably only his closest friends see. When he got Will Anderson, he was gushing about Will Anderson like it was his firstborn child. He was gushing about Danico Autry. I think you can tell the players that he really likes. He really talked up Titus Howard. So I think that there are players that he really likes. I think that, you kind of even get to really think about like why he gave Titus Howard that type of contract. A lot of people question that. I mean, if you listen to the interview, you can tell that he really appreciates Titus Howard. So I think we're getting bits of pieces more of the real Caserio, and potentially as we get better and better, Nick Caserio may not feel so guarded and can let the real Caserio stand up. But speaking of what Caserio has done in free agency, is it over for the Texans? And the reason why I'm going to ask this is because Texans Cap, if you're not following him, you really should, at Texans Cap on Twitter, he basically has shown that there's about $16 million of cap left, which excludes 3 players. So it doesn't include the restructure for Mason, but it also doesn't include the Mixon extension. It includes the $24 million of dead money. 15 million of that is because of Collins and Rakins. But there's 3 contracts out there that aren't even included. So that $16 million cap could actually be less. Now, we know that the Texans tried to target Keenan Allen, and the Chargers shipped him out to the Bears because they didn't want to make conference, or so we suppose. But we only have $16 million left. What do you think Caserio could actually do? Ruben, you're up.
I mean, it definitely feels like something else is coming. Right? When you trade away Malik Collins, when you hear that they almost got Keenan Allen, it was just the Bears that decided not to send him here. You're like, okay, Nick, well, you're putting your fillers out there. So I wonder what else he has under his sleeve. When you think about Nick Caserio, man, you see how aggressive he is in the NFL draft. You saw how aggressive he was the past couple of days. And I think, like Leo said, it's win now mode. I think Nick Caserio should definitely be looking at, some talent to bring in. And what's crazy is like every other night on Twitter, right? You see the googly eye emojis. You see Antonio Brown, CTE ESPN posting Stephon Diggs in the Texans uniform. Right? And it's like, maybe Nick is trying to cook. I just wonder if he's going to once again make a move.
I mean, I don't doubt that he's trying. The question is, does he have the money to do it? So I mean, that's my question. Harley, what do you think? With $16 million left, not to mention that it doesn't include 3 player contracts, do you think that we're done for free agency?
It feels like there's starting to be a bow on this. At the same time, it feels like there's one more move missing.
Exactly.
Right? Like whether or not it's wide receiver, whether or not it's even a safety. Whether or not it's something else, whether it's even a cornerback, it just feels like there's something going on. You mentioned Texans were trying to get Keenan Allen and actually did a lot more than what the Bears did. And fuck the Bears. I mean, come on. Fuck the Bears. Fuck Smokey the Bear. Fuck the Berenstain Bears. Fuck the Country Bears. Like, fuck the Bears, man. God damn it. Come
All the
on,
Bears, fuck
man.
'em.
Man, fuck the Bears.
Fuck the 85 Bears. Fuck
Yeah,
Mike
yeah. I know that's right, man.
Fuck
Cocaine
Lovey.
Bear.
Hey, fuck Lovey Smith. Hey, let's
Uh-oh.
keep it going.
Hey, wait. There's a statue with that man somewhere here. I mean, it was just like, man, come on, really? I mean, a trio of Keenan Allen, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell. That
Who's
is
stopping that?
I mean, that's pretty elite right there. You know, as long as Keenan Allen, the injuries, don't fret him in his later days. But man, the Houston Texans just, I don't know. There feels like there's something happening. There's a lot of smoke that Ruben mentioned. Whether or not that's true or not with the Stephon Diggs thing or whatever receiver. Maybe there's a Tyler Boyd. Who knows? Maybe there's something else. Xavier Howard maybe is a smaller move. Who knows? But I don't know. I want to say that we're going to put a bow on this, but again, it does feel like there's one more move missing.
All right, Leo, you tell me what you think. $60 million in cap. We know we tried to get Keenan Allen. We know that we at one point tried to get Eric Armstead as well. We know that he was trying to get Saquon Barkley. There's a lot of players out there that we know that he was trying to get. Imagine that he was probably trying to get even more players. Are we done?
Man, honestly, I think that I don't think they're gonna make a move, like a big move, until after the draft. I mean, that's kind of what I think. And then I think he kind of like probably gets a little bit more aggressive again. But I don't really Leo's finna cuss. Watch. Well, guess what, buddy? I'm not about to cuss. I'm gonna do my best to not cuss for the rest of the
Guess
show.
what, fucker?
Hey, I'll pull a Nick Casario MFer. Whatever. Bro. Anyway, I think that they're not gonna make that many moves. I mean, bro, I don't think the Diggs stuff. I don't think that stuff almost slipped up. I don't think that's gonna happen. Man. I'm trying to think what other receivers. Oh, Ayuk. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. By the way, Cytex, funny you should mention the merch store. So we got a new segment today, and it's kind of a little celebration of what we're doing on the merch store. So if you look at that, you can see that we've got a new t-shirt. If anyone knows me on Twitter or other social media, if I think you're saying something crazy, my saying is, are you on crack? You can now buy that as a mug or a t-shirt. But the new segment, and we're talking about are they on crack, is the 33rd team. So the 33rd team basically said that Joe Mixon was the 7th worst addition in free agency. Now, I read the article. It wasn't just this banner. I thought like, oh, could it be something about, his past or something and not being a fit with the McNairs? Because it couldn't be on the field play. But basically, they said that he was a little bit older, that there were other options with Derrick Henry and so forth, that they could have Josh Jacobs, and they picked Joe Mixon. And then the extension. Now, the extension, they gave him a 3-year, $27 million contract. But if you look at that, it's out of the entire contract, there's only $13 million. Only $13 million that's guaranteed. So your risk really is mostly this year. So I don't think it's a bad deal, but the 7th worst free agency move, I've got to ask you, Ruben, once again, I'll start with you. Are they on crack?
I mean, they're gonna have to be, man. I mean, it's dude, and that avatar is so funny. It's so funny. But yeah, no, absolutely. I think the Joe Mixon move was solid, right? Everything we wanted in the type of running back. Harley mentioned it all the way back at the trade deadline. Get someone like Saquon Barkley, a threat on the ground, a threat in the air, and that's exactly what Joe Mixon is. And he's one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. I think someone brought it up. When you mentioned the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Mixon is the 4th guy you talk about. And I think the contract, you gave him what he's worth, which is a top 10 running back. He has playoff experience. He's been in the big game. He's been a captain for the Cincinnati Bengals, should be the captain for this offense, and one of them, for the entire team. It sounds like, to me that the Texans really believe in Joe Mixon. They gave him a 3-year deal. They traded for him, right? It's, if I want my guy, I'm going to go get my guy. So shout out to Nick Casario, who didn't want to get into another bidding war. The 7th worst move, though? Nah, I don't see it. Oh.
Mute.
Oops, sorry about that.
There we go.
Before I continue, I just want to say shout out to Scott Davis, who's given us a super chat, and he said, "Good to see y'all on one stream. I think Broncos are still a potential trade partner. Cortland Sutton looks possible, less likely, and Patrick Surtain will likely be traded during the draft." We'll actually get to that question. Thank you for posing that question. Let's finish off this segment though. Harley, is the 33rd team on crack?
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to be right. I mean, come on, 7th worst move for Joe Mixon. I didn't even read whatever their article was, or if they had a video. I don't know if they did, or I didn't read it. I kind of just disregarded it because I was like, man, this isn't. I'm not gonna entertain this. Joe Mixon, obviously dual threat running back. He can really good receiver actually. The Texans did a lot of screen passes last year offensively. Joe Mixon is going to be a big benefactor of those screen passes. So yeah, I like it. It's another weapon for CJ Stroud. I didn't want to run it back with the same offense. I wanted something different, and I'm glad they did get something in Joe Mixon. Sure, would I like another receiver? Yeah, but hey, I like what we got. Nico, Tank, improvements from them going into their second year, really, with CJ Stroud, who is also going to improve. I think people forget that CJ was a rookie, by the way. This man is going to improve. I don't know how much more he can improve, but there's things that he can tinker with in his game, and he's going to get a lot better. But man, Joe Mixon at 7, I mean, I feel like there's something we're missing. That's a pretty obvious bad move somewhere there.
Okay, all right. Leo, come on, man. I know you got to agree here. Are they on crack?
Man, I'ma just rip the fucking Band-Aid off, bro. It's no way in fucking hell that if you have DeAndre Swift at 8, then you gotta fucking put Saquon on this motherfucker. And I was an advocate for Saquon Barkley, but to sit up here and say that our move is actually better than damn near the Saquon move, you know what I mean? And then another one that's just like completely utterly like, crackhead-ish or esque is Russell Wilson to the Steelers. Like, how is that even on here? Like, you got a fucking quarterback for like $1 million, like the
1.2 million.
I mean, now the first two are now first three, that makes sense. Number
But where's
4,
Calvin Ridley?
Oh damn! Oh wow! Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And he's not there. The first two I actually get. I completely get it. Because I mean the thing is they're saying lose. Let me take off the logo so you can guys see this real quick. So it's Jaguars letting Calvin Ridley walk. I completely get, right? Because in all reality, what they should have done is they should have tagged Calvin Ridley, but got the real deal done with Josh Allen. That's how they should have done it. And Josh Allen's team actually said, "Hey, we would like to talk to you." And Balky's like, "Oh, don't worry, he's going to be a Jaguar. We'll get it done." But they wanted to get a deal done, you freaking idiot. And then they paid $16 million to Gabe Davis. The Jaguar, I mean, Balky's definitely on crack. Let's just be honest there, okay? The other moves, I mean, I don't really have that much of an opinion on it. But 7, 8, 9, Joe Mixon to the Texans, DeAndre Swift to the Bears because it's $8 million. That's the reason. Like, that's not that bad at all. And Russell Wilson to the Steelers. You got a potential Hall of Fame quarterback that is also a Super Bowl winner, been to 2 Super Bowls. You got it for $1 million, and that's a bad deal. This Connor Levesley, he's smoking the crack all day long. I'm sorry, I have to rant a little bit. Leo, please continue.
Nah, but that's it. I mean, 33rd team, like, how do I say this? Like, I know Josh really likes the 33rd team. I think that they have some interesting insights a lot, you know what I mean? But you have to take it with a grain of salt, you know what I'm saying? So, and I think this is one of the things, because that was pretty much, bro, we gave them a 7th-round pick, of which I think we had multiple of, and then we extended them to a contract that was more friendly than every other high-end running back that got a multi-year deal this year. So, if that's top 10 worst moves, then you just fucking hate running backs. I mean,
Yeah, I don't get it.
It's stupid.
But I want to ask you guys this question about the uniforms. I'm going to put them up here. So for the people that are listening to the audio podcast, you should probably go on YouTube afterwards so you can actually see these images.
Put the link one up, man.
Put the what?
Put the leaked one up.
Oh, I did. I didn't put the.
Oh
I had
my
to send my
God.
PDFs
Oh,
ahead of
God.
time, and I did it. But so we have the two uniforms. Actually, the one on the right was made by a Twitter user. His account is D Texans, and it's spelled with the Z at the end. So it's DTEXANSZ. Go ahead and follow him. He's a good graphic artist. I think he does really good work. This is not all he's done. He's done other things as well. So go ahead and give him a follow. But as you can see here, you can see our uniforms on the right, and you can see his Photoshop where it really looks like candy apple red. I think it looks kind of hot, man. I know in the beginning we saw the leaked photo where it looked like they were in a third world country, and you kind of had this weird weird dude that was trying to be Stingley just because he had the tattoos but nothing else. And it didn't look good at all. I mean, he couldn't fill it out. They didn't have the full pads on him, and his socks were like from Walmart. I don't understand why that hat was even leaked. But thankfully, Cal saw immediately and posted the real one on Reddit. So thank you, Cal McNair, for being a baller. So I want to ask you again, Ruben. I'm going to throw this out to you first. What do you think of the new uniforms, and what do you think of the people that are saying they're dog shit?
Well, I mean, they're growing on me. I'm not going to say that the ones on the left are fire, right? I'm not going to say, oh, I will go out there and immediately buy a jersey like that. There is a lot left to be desired, but it is growing on me, though. And maybe when I see CJ Stroud in the sun at NRG wearing that, then maybe it might grow on me. The one on the right, and shout out to D Texans because he's done work for JJ Watt, and his Instagram account is even huge, right? It's even bigger than what we talked about, but that right there is sexy. That right there is let's go to the Super Bowl. They look like fucking Red Power Rangers, dude. And that just screams Hollywood, man. I see touchdowns. I see playmakers. And, dude, that red is legit. With the one on the left, right, and those are the official ones. And actually, shout out to Cal McNair for saying, for putting them out there, right? Do them no justice. They definitely look better in this picture. I think we're getting 4 more. So if these are the start, then I'm excited to see what's next.
Harley, what do you think? By the way, I do think it's 3 more, right?
Yes.
So the ones on the left, the official ones, and we're getting 3 more uniforms. Harley, what do you think?
Yeah, initially with the tatted Bryce Young model, I mean, that was just weird. that was just odd. And I don't know, but it does feel like whenever people model like NFL, even college football, there is similar like models for them, like using the jerseys and modeling. Like they're short people that like, I don't get why they have money. They could afford someone that's taller that doesn't freaking have the same height as me. Like, I mean, come on.
It looked bad,
man. It looked horrible, and I could get why a lot of people were like, all right, this is garbage. And I was like, all right, I got to see something else because, I do a lot of editing. So I'm like, man, I'm looking at this photo. I'm like, this photo is horrible. The lighting is horrible. It looks like they're in the back of a warehouse or whatever. Like, I mean, And then Cal McNair said, you know what, guys? All right, I can't have the fans be trashing this design that we've been calling fire for the last few months. All right, let me drop the real one. And it's not bad. I enjoy it. It looks really good. It looks really solid. Could be a lot left to desire. I want to see the other 3 uniforms. I like it. Don't get me wrong. Are they better than the previous ones? Just for the white ones, just for the road ones, I kind of like the road ones a little bit more than this one. Maybe just like a 51%, 49%, kind of borderline. But I mean, they're gonna grow on me when CJ Stroud goes out for that first play, little play action to Joe Mixon, and oh my goodness, is that 76-yard touchdown pass to Tank Dell? Oh my God, yes it is. And once you start winning, once the Houston Texans, as Mark Vandermeer says, rocking and rolling, everyone's gonna be like, these are the best jerseys ever. Oh my goodness, we love them, and that's exactly what might happen.
I couldn't agree with you more, right? Everyone hates the Letterman jackets, not because they looked ugly, but because of what happened when you wore them, right? So, Leo, what do you think of these uniforms?
Nah, they were ugly. They were ugly. They were.
Oh, man,
let's be honest.
They were all right. They were all right.
I like them. I would have got one in a
popular.
heartbeat if.
Yeah.
I'd cop
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. I gotta disagree with you there, Ruben. Leo, what do you think of these jerseys, and what do you think about the Photoshop one from the Texans with the red ones as well?
Yeah, I like both of them. I like the ones on the left, the original, the real ones. They definitely took a second for me to kind of like look at them and stuff. But I actually kind of like them. I think that a couple of them are. I think some of them are supposed to have like different designs, right? So each jersey isn't gonna, from what I heard, isn't gonna have the same exact design. I think, right?
Right.
So I mean, like, that's gonna be interesting. But I think, man, I think this is a solid start for sure, man. I really like them. The warehouse picture, with Bryce Young meets Spencer Rattler. That was just like a terrible tatted up Spencer Rattler, tatted up Bryce Young, man. It was, bro. Oh God. I mean, sometimes I just want to just think that, like, we should just like delete people. Like, we should be able to fucking ban people's Twitter. Whoever leaked that shit, just their whole Twitter account needs to go to hell, because I was thinking like that when I seen that shit. I was like, bro, we might as well just throw all this shit away and just go back to what the hell we was doing. But
Right.
I fuck with this one.
Sorry, it's all about the presentation, man. Because you could, I mean, no lighting, bad model. I mean, the background was disgusting. I mean, obviously, looking at this, they look baller,
Yeah.
right? In my opinion, like, I like them.
I like them too. I like the red ones. The red ones also, the ones that the Texans. Shout out to him, man. Looks good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do like the uniforms. There's a couple questions here about the blue. We are supposed to have some sort of incorporation of that. We think it's going to be in the fourth uniform. I don't know if it's going to be the entire uniform, but I suspect it's going to be incorporated somehow. What I also liked about the uniforms is they had the horns, which is something we haven't seen on the uniform. I do think we're going to get a new helmet, or at least something different. So this isn't everything. So I think this is just a taste. And Cal was forced to throw this out there because whoever leaked it, and it was actually, I think it actually leaked out on Reddit first, just got the best of the Texans, and they wanted to hit it head on. And I think he made a great move by just saying, "You think that's a leak? Let me show you the real deal."
Mhm.
So I think he did a good job there. Now this is the last segment of the show, and the reason why I want to talk about the AFC South free agency comparison is because we obviously want to make the playoffs. You can't make the playoffs typically without winning the division. So let's just start with the Jaguars. Now, and what I would like to do is, after I talk about each one of these teams, I'd like to get your grade and your thoughts. So the Jaguars have $16 million left. Not a lot, pretty much the same as we have. They didn't do a ton. They tagged Josh Allen. They lost Calvin Ridley. They overpaid Eric Armstead. They overpaid Gabe Davis. They signed Mitch Morse, which is a solid center. That's a good positive thing. I'll give him credit for that. They lost Darius Williams and Rayshon Jenkins. So what are the positives here? Well, they tagged Josh Allen, so he's not leaving. Other than that, and adding Mitch Morse, who's a really solid center, I don't really think any other move they made was great. I actually rate their offseason right now a C to a C minus. Ruben, what do you rank the Jags free agency so far?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. The one thing that I would say is, even though we consider them overpays, they did add some talent to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I do expect them to be better than what I thought they were going to be at the start of free agency. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a real bounce back year. A C plus, I could argue a B, but I'm right there with you. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars got better after this free agency period.
All right. Harley, what do you think? Are you right around the C grade?
Yeah, I am. I'm right there at the C grade for them. You look at the wide receiver core, Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is a guy that, if he's not injured, then he's just not known for the next 4 weeks after his 3 catches, 147 yards, and a touchdown. Like, that's just how Gabe Davis is. They overpaid for Eric Armstead. Yeah, I mean, they still got Eric Armstead. The defensive line solid with him now as the addition there. Offensive line, the secondary, that is one thing that the Jaguars did not look at, was a secondary. And I mean, it's it's pretty upsetting that Derek Stingley's the best cornerback in this division and he's hardly played, and he's the best cornerback in this division. Like, that's pretty sad, So the Jaguars, they have to get better in the secondary some way, somehow, as well as the other teams in this division. I mean, you're facing up against a CJ Stroud. The two things you got to improve is the defensive line and the secondary. You got to do something to combat the Texans, and this goes way back to when J.J. Watt was with the Texans. The rest of the division was like, okay, we got to do something on the offensive line. Okay, we got to do something to combat how we're going to play against them. Texans, again, are basically dictating how this division is going to move forward.
All right. I love that. We're dictating how they go forward. Leo, what grade would you give the Jaguars?
Man, personally, I don't really give a damn. I don't give a fuck to grade them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, bro. I'm not even gonna fucking grade them, bro.
Good Lord.
So they get a no grade from Leo?
I'm not fucking grading them, bro.
All right. So most of us think they're around a C. The Colts. So the Colts have $22 million left. They retained Pittman, Gennard, Avery, Kenny Moore, Grover Stewart, Tyquan Lewis, Zara Franklin. So those are all re-signs, which I think was a good deal for them. They added Joe Flacco, so they have a good quarterback if AR gets hurt again. They added Raekwon Davis. They lost Zach Moss and Isaiah McKenzie. So I think overall they're pretty good. They have $22 million left, so a little more than us. They can make another move. I rank their free agency a solid B. They didn't add a ton of talent outside of Joe Flacco, in my opinion, but I think they had solid re-signings. You had to keep Pittman. You had to keep Grover Stewart. You had to keep Zaire Franklin, and they did it. So I give them a B. Ruben, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm more of a C. And if I was the Colts fan, I'll be underwhelmed. Shout out to my roundtable brother, Derek. He's underwhelmed with their performance as well. Because, yes, it is good to bring back those guys, and they definitely deserved, to get extended by the Colts. But outside of that, you did nothing. Their secondary is just as bad, and they just lost their safety today, Blackman, to someone else. You wanted to add talent around AR-15, and you just didn't do that. And someone who only played 8 quarters at the beginning of the season, I didn't think they did a good job of building around him or giving him some weapons. We don't know what AR-15 is. And I would have thought the Colts, who had, a better cap situation than us, would have added some more weapons. So I gave them a C.
Okay. All right. Harley, what do you think? Is it B? Is it C? Or what do you think?
I guess it's around a C plus, kind of like a 78. They really didn't do nothing. They kind of just stayed the same, and that's where I agree with Ruben. Like, hey, you got AR at 15 on a rookie contract. You had a solid amount of cap space going into free agency. The L'Jarius Sneed rumors dropped for them. Didn't happen. That would have been great for their secondary. They still got to improve the secondary. Wide receivers, I like Josh Downs. Michael Pittman's just a consistent wide receiver, basically. After that, okay, I'm still looking for something else. There's a lot left to be desired. It still looks like they are going to continue to put everything on AR-15. What I do like about the Colts is their head coach. I'm a big fan of Shane Steichen. I'm a big fan of his offensive game plan when he faced us week 2. Understandably that, maybe CJ Stroud and the Texans weren't completely there yet as a team. We saw how they got there in the second half. We saw glimpses of, okay, this team could take off maybe. But AR-15 and Shane Steichen, they are deadly, it seems like, together. We only saw it with 8 quarters, but I really don't want to know what else they got in store for the rest of this division. But I thought the Colts could have gotten better, and they just quite literally didn't. They just stayed the same.
Okay. Leo, what do you think of about what the Colts did?
Man, let me tell you, bro, I was so excited when I saw that they signed back Michael Pittman, bro. I was so excited because of just how ass I think he is. I think he's one of the most ass fucking receivers in the NFL. And I'm tired of, you know what, bro? I'm about to go on a rant of truth, bro. I'm tired of fucking Texans fans dick sucking Michael Pittman, bro. You know, I'm tired of fucking just seeing everybody just fucking keep dick sucking this motherfucker and at the same time just talking down on talking down on Nico Collins. Michael Pittman is a glorified fucking move tight end. He doesn't threaten deep. He's a pussy, bro. Straight up, man. Straight up like that, you know. But I shouldn't have said that. I don't know, you know. But like, I just think like, man, he's just not that electric. I think that they could have done something to really get, you know, more explosive. Like shit. I mean, it would have been better to just draft Brian Thomas and you know, he could have done what Michael Pittman did, plus more, plus threaten downfield, plus be more electric. Not scared of Michael Pittman. They're not that, like, you know, I'm just not, bro. So I'm glad that they signed him back. And I think that on top of that, I mean, Richardson can't see the fucking field. I'm tired of people telling me that Richardson is gonna be great and he's gonna do this and he's gonna you know, shock the league. When I go back and watch film of like motherfucker Shane Steichen scheming up deep shots to fucking Alec Pierce, and everybody thinks Alec Pierce is ass because nobody can fucking see him. You know what I mean? So I mean, like, I don't know, bro. Like, I'm just not scared of them. I think that they fucking suck too. And I think that once we get our defense solid, I don't think they will be able to do shit because if they can't run the ball, they can't do shit. So fuck them.
All right, you heard it here first, guys. As far as the Colts go, fuck them. Lastly, we have the Titans. The interesting thing about the Titans is they still have $46 million left of cap space. So, you know, they didn't spend a lot yet. And, you know, obviously you have usually the 48 hours after free agency starts is when you see the most of those type of signings. They added Calvin Ridley. You can say they overpaid him. But at the end of the day, he's really getting $12 million guaranteed a year. So it's really not that bad as a lot of people make it out to be, in my opinion. They got Mason Rudolph, Tony Pollard. So Tony Pollard is probably a mid addition, but I think that Spears is going to have more carries than him anyway. Cushenberry, solid center, not bad at all. Added Kenneth Murray. Awaze, all right. So yeah, he didn't succeed a lot after his injury, but I think you come back after injury. I think that he's going to be solid. And they obviously lost their biggest offensive player, Derrick Henry. So I grade them a B, and it's not because of what they've just done, but what they can do. And I'll tell you what, $46 million. Now, did they do something great in free agency right now to earn a B? No. But the reason I'm giving them a B is because of what they have. Actually, on Twitter, I rated them an incomplete. That's probably more the correct grade. It's simply because of how much cap space they have, not because they made some great moves. Because the best move that they made, honestly, is adding Calvin Ridley. So I'm saying B for the future, but if you want to grade right now, it's incomplete. Harley, what do you think?
I think they're about a C plus for me as well. They're right at that borderline, maybe even an 80. I'll give them an 80. Why not? Mostly because I'm looking at their offseason in total. I really like Brian Callahan. I like the offensive scheme that he has. Him with Tyjae Spears and now Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard, in my opinion, does a lot better in a committee kind of running back system. I expect both of that to be happening between him and Tyjae Spears. I've seen a lot of Tyjae Spears just demolish the Houston Cougars when he was at Tulane. He is fantastic, and he should fit that scheme perfectly. Brian Callahan is a guy that is another direction of the Shanahan-Kubiak scheme. Maybe not 100% into that scheme, but he has the influences of it. That's what I really like from the Titans. Adding Calvin Ridley, cool. All right, whatever. You got him. You got DeAndre Hopkins. Traylon Burks is a bust. Doesn't do nothing for me. He's absolutely boring. After that, Chidobe Awuzie, underrated cornerback. I like that move. It's not bad. It's decent. But, you kind of said it. $46 million. We're supposed to be investing into rookie quarterbacks, right? And if you're trusting Will Levis to get to where you need him to get to, I expected them to do just a little bit more, take advantage of that rookie contract. Man, you don't get this opportunity a lot All right. And if they believe Levis is a playoff quarterback, whether or not we do is different. But if they believe in him being that playoff guy and their future, invest in him a little bit more, man. Doing just Ridley, Cushenberry's all right. Okay, I guess they're going to add an offensive lineman in the draft. On paper, they could be a little bit better than I think a lot of other Texans fans could give them credit for.
All right. Ruben, what do you think?
I'm giving him a C, close to a C minus, because it's what you didn't do. And the Titans had the most cap space out of any team in the AFC South. And you would have thought they would have gone out and got the best of the best. If the Houston Texans would have got Ridley, Rudolph, Pollard, this free agency class, we would have been upset. We would have said this was not enough for CJ Stroud, and this was not enough for Will Levis. And you're talking about someone who still has a lot of questions whether or not he is the guy. Outside of his great game against the Falcons, really had horrible stretches. Now, in year 2, you didn't really invest into him. And that's my main thing. And that's why I was disappointed with them and the Colts, because you don't have a rookie contract on a rookie deal for forever. You have the first 4 years to spend as much money as you can, put as much talent as you can around them. And the Colts and Titans just did not do that. And that's why they got a C for me, man. The Houston Texans, they killed it. The other teams didn't.
Listen, I agree. I think the Titans can do a lot more. They just haven't yet. Leo, what do you think about the Titans? We know that everyone knows that you really like Leps. I know that you think that he's a great quarterback, but do you think they did what they needed to do to help him succeed?
Well, I mean, I just gotta ask, like, what other receiving options were there to get? You know what I mean?
You
really
could have brought in someone else alongside of Calvin Ridley. They need a left tackle. Andre Dillard was the worst left tackle in the NFL. Now, they might address that in the draft. They had the 7th overall pick, but it's not enough. It's not enough when you have a rookie quarterback and you have almost all the money in the world.
I think they kind of got fucked over when Charles or Mike Owen knew, however you say his name, whatever. When he went back to the Patriots, I think that kind of fucked them over. We'll see. I think that, so they have Hopkins. It wasn't like the most banging free agency like ever, but I think they kind of made a little bit of moves to kind of move them to what they want, what Bill Callahan wants to do, which I don't think anyone really fucking knows. It seems like I got some people saying that he wants to run a lot of under center stuff, and then I got a whole bunch of other people saying that they want to run the Bengals offense. So I think that they definitely did upgrade, like their receiving options. Hopkins, adding Ridley kind of gives Hopkins a little bit more breathing room. And it just depends on what they do with that 7th pick, because I do think their line is kind of in shambles, you know what I mean? But
it was the worst in the league.
Yeah, it is in shambles. So are they gonna run that back and get another receiving option and just have Levis get the ball out of his hands super fast, or are they gonna go the tackle route? You know what I mean? So we gotta see. But I think I'm kind of in alignment with y'all. I don't think it was a terrible free agency, but it wasn't they have work to do. You know what I'm saying? For sure. So
all right. So we didn't get to really many questions I want, but I do want to go back to this one since Scott was nice enough to give us a super chat. So his question was, do you think that Cortland Sutherland looks possible? And what do you think about his comment that Surtain will likely be traded during the draft? Ruben, any way we can get Sutton?
It's all up to, Nick Caserio. Now, I believe that the second cornerback spot is a huge need. It's just going to be, what is it going to take to get someone like Sutton? Is it going to be 2 2s? Is it going to be a 2 and next year's, 3 and 4? He's a damn good cornerback in the NFL, and he's going to be pricey. I wonder if you could get someone like, Surtain, but, at the number 2 cornerback spot, we weren't talking about guys like him, right? We were talking about guys like, Xavier Howard, Steven Nelson coming back, kind of a Band-Aid over the number 2 quarterback spot and double dip in the NFL draft. But I guess no situation is out of the question. It's gonna take a lot to get some of these guys here.
Yeah, I mean, all right. So Harley, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, PS2, I don't think that's happening. Sorry. I mean, I would love for that to happen. That's a pipe dream, obviously. I mean, you were talking about Snead consistently in that group chat. Yeah, sure. I would have loved Snead. I would have loved Surtain, but I just don't see that happening. This seems like the heavy draft capital. Texans are not willing to do that. Cortland Sutton's not a bad idea. It really depends on the trade value that the Broncos are looking back at for him. It's quite interesting considering they didn't receive a lot for Jerry Jeudy. So it kind of makes me go, how do they value Cortland Sutton then? Do they value him somewhat similar? Do they value him a little bit better? I have no problem with them knocking on the Denver Broncos door and saying, hey, Sean Payton, you want to continue kind of being a dumbass? Sure, why not? Come on and bring Cortland Sutton over to Houston. Him, Nico Collins, Tank Dell. I like that. That's a pretty good little trio right there. So who knows? At the same time, do you really want to give up draft capital when you're looking at a wide receiver class that's pretty deep in the NFL draft? And there's a plentiful of names that you can go and grab, whether it's at 42, whether it's at 59, hell, whether it's in the 3rd round. The Texans have options, so they can weigh their options and see what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with this. Especially your last point, like the wide receiver in the draft are so deep. I really wouldn't want to trade for anyone or really spend a ton of money on someone, But Leo, what do you think of Scott's question?
Well, I mean, to kind of add to it, I mean, what we did, I mean, we were very close to making a deal for Allen and then paying and extending him. So we are in the market to trade for a receiver. You know what I mean? Cortland Sutton, I think he's an interesting fit with like Noah Brown, like in the Noah Brown role, which is what we talk about a lot here. I think, he definitely can run crosses well. I think he could pretty much, he has good ball skills, very, very physical. You know what I mean? So he could kind of be like, having him is like kind of like almost having like another move tight end on the field with like, the ball skills of a receiver and stuff. So I think he would be a good fit, but it's just kind of like at the same time, like I do agree with Harley and stuff. It's like, I think that Keenan Allen added a very, very unique skill set, like in terms of his route running and all that like I can understand why you pay him. But with Sutton, and it's kind of like, how much different is Sutton plus that contract, like rather than like Javon Baker, Jermaine Burton, and then the long list of receivers in this draft that will be available in the mid rounds. Especially understanding that we are looking for pretty much an upgrade at the 3rd receiver. I think it's pretty much proven that Nick Caserio can scout receivers well. It's also proven that Slowick really knows how to scheme up guys open in that spot because, I mean, no slight to Noah Brown. I mean, Noah Brown had his best year here, averaging 17 yards a catch. You know what I'm saying? That's like damn near Brandon Ayuk numbers. Like, so I think when it comes to that spot, like the 3rd receiver spot, as long as you have a receiver that's willing to block and willing to, be nasty and physical and can also create some separation, that knows how to run a damn crossing route well. You know what I'm saying? That can beat 3rd corners and safeties and shit down the field. I think that you could, have a lot of success here. I mean, let's remember that all of these let's remember that, shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Damn it, fucking V, you changed the goddamn comment and it just fucked me over. Like, god damn it, bro. I forgot what the fuck I was going to. Anyway, all right. Well, I guess that's.
But you went over it well. I mean, like, we're at the.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. But first of all, I want to say thank you to the 300 people that watched today. Please check out our shop at texas22.com/shop. The new shirt "Are You on Crack" is there. I'm wearing a hoodie. Hoodies are $39.99. Shirts are $19.99. I want to give an opportunity to Ruben and Harley to talk about what they're up to. So Ruben, Harley, first, I'll start with you, Ruben. What do you got cooking on?
Yeah, man, just dropping content every day, trying to get to 15K subscribers on YouTube by the start of the season. Dropping daily on TikTok as well, trying to get that up to like 3 or 4, and then getting back into the Instagram game as well. We're dropping content every day, and exciting times are to come. Got some great stuff planned for the draft, some great stuff planned for training camp. So a lot of good things coming. If you want to follow me, just type in 713 Houston Sportcast. I'll pop right up.
Awesome. Harley, what about you?
Yeah, same thing, man. I'm just dropping content. I've got already reached the 6,000 subscribers plateau. Definitely looking at 10K. That's the ultimate goal right now. So yeah, man, that's what I'm gearing towards. I've been posting a lot more, doing a lot more things, posting a lot more on Instagram and TikTok, and taking another little dabble of the social media, see how's that going, and making sure I'm improving in all my other areas as well for the channel. So definitely doing a lot of things behind the scenes. We're in hopes of trying to restart the merch. That we had something of it before. This was an idea of it with the La Pina gang. That was an old Yuli Gurriel reference. It was pretty successful. Didn't really push it enough. And then I kind of just forgot about it. So just so much stuff that's to do. There's never enough to do for any sort of content. So definitely we'll be trying to push it back up again. Probably not soon, but relatively in the future. Again, you can follow me, find me at @TheLead_HOU anywhere on social media. Type in The Lead Houston on YouTube. I'll pop right up.
Awesome. Again, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this show. If you miss anything, you can watch this obviously on YouTube or download the audio podcast on Spotify, everywhere else where you can find your podcast. And just remember, Texans 22 always has your back.
Texans 22, breaking it down. Podcast got the city vibing to the sound. Special guest dropping knowledge so true. Texans down, this one's for you.